Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Adora, and if you're just seeing this face for the first time, I would really like to appreciate you. I would really like to thank you for stopping by, and thank you very much for watching at least. And if you're an old subscriber, I do appreciate you. I really believe that without you, I won't have gone this far. You give me the encouragement, you give me the kick and the boost I need to do these videos. Okay, if you intend to come over to the UK from wherever you are, like if you want to come over to the UK for the purpose of your work or for study, or you intend to join your spouse or whatever visa route you intend to take to move down to the UK, I think you should watch this video because you will be needing a place to call your home. You'll be needing a roof over your head. You'll be needing a place to rent, at least for the time being, whilst you are in the UK. And on the other hand, even if you're in the UK and you think you want to change apartments, you want to change your house, you need something bigger, you need something better, you need to change your location, whatever, you just need to rent a house, I really think you should watch this video so that you will be quite aware of what to expect when you are entering the rental market. Now, before now, I used to think it was just so easy, just get in there and okay, I need a house. You meet one or two people, they give you people that are actually renting their houses, or you meet one or two agents and they connect you to landlords and all that. At least that was the way it used to be in the days, like back in the days, but not now anymore. If anyone had told me that the process of renting an apartment or a house here in the UK is this hard, honestly, I would not have believed it. If I didn't give it a go, I would not have believed it. It's so difficult nowadays that you can't even see an empty house for rent. And even when you see it, before you know it, it's gone like this. I remember back then, if you walk into any shop, like if you walk into all these off-license shops, you could see posters and maybe informations of houses that are available for rent, and you will see them asking for people that are willing or interested in renting these properties. You just see an information there: contact this house to rent, contact this number, and you call, and maybe the landlord speaks to you and tells you the house is available and gives it to you. You exchange informations, you do the paperwork, he gives you his key, you pay your rent and you move in. That was just it. That back then, it was that easy. It was so easy that you could just walk into any shop and just talk to them. Oh, I need a house for rent. They might just ask you what kind of house. You might say a 2 or 3 bedroom. They take your number. Before the end of the day, they call you back and say, okay, a landlord wants to speak to you. It was so easy to get a house through a direct landlord. Like, just you don't even need to go through an agent, just direct contact with the landlord. That's quite easy. It was so easy for you to walk past a number of shops on a street, and maybe from the beginning of the street to the end of the street, you could see like 2 or 3 adverts seeking for tenants. It was that easy. But right now, it is nearly impossible to see such again. On the other hand, if you want to go through the agency route, you register your name, you fill an application with an agent and house agents that you are interested in renting a property. They would always fill these forms for you. But when it gets to the point of securing the accommodation, it's like passing through the eye of a needle. It's like a donkey, passing through the eye of a needle. It's very difficult. Okay, recently a friend of mine decided she wanted to move from London to outside of London. So before she made up her mind to move, she actually got a job somewhere else, and then she felt it would be better for her to raise her kids in a quieter environment and so on, because she's lived in London for years and now her kids are growing. She wants this change of environment so badly because, according to her, she said she can't just cope with the way London is, and especially if you have kids, you really need to be careful. So she decided to start house hunting. The first thing she tried to do was to go through the easier route, which was to get contact with direct landlords. This makes it much easier. You don't have to go through any too much paperwork. You don't have to go through an agency, third party, and all that. So she tried through the word of mouth, asking questions, making inquiries, trying to see if she could get people to refer her to landlords, anyone who has a house in the area where she wanted to stay. It was not possible. She did this for months. Nothing was coming out. It wasn't just working out. So she decided to switch over and see if she could use any of the housing agents available. She decided to register with as many house agents as possible. At some point, she decided to also go through the online website for, finding a property. She has tried Rightmove, she has tried Zoopla, and in most cases, you will see the house you like. Then the funny part of it is that you will actually see the house you like. It just fits your specifications. It fits your needs. It fits exactly what you can. It even fits your budget. But by the time you get in contact with the agent and they call you for a house viewing, when you get there, you'll think you're the only one that's actually going to view the house, to look at the property. By the time you get there, you're like number 3 or number 4 on the queue. And then that's when you realize that you're not the only one that is interested in that house. And then before you know it, you're never called back. When it happened to her, I thought, okay, yeah, well, everyone cannot be the same. And then secondly, maybe it had to do with location. Maybe she was looking for a house in a very busy area where people just snatch these homes as soon as they hit the internet, until it happened to me. In my own case was that, okay, I tried as much as possible to look. I tried checking in Leeds. Leeds is a city, a very big city in the UK. I tried checking on Leeds, and honestly, each time I tried, I always hit the brick wall. I have registered with as many agents as possible. Sometimes I go to Rightmove or Zoopla, which are the online agencies where you can actually get a house you want, your own specifications, and you contact them. Immediately a house comes out as available. The next minute, you'll be surprised it's already taken. Who is taking it? You don't know. Now, there are so many factors because it's still happening. There are so many factors which could hinder you from getting a house. Number one is the distance. If you live very far from the place where you intend to move to, it might be very difficult for you to always show up, for house viewings. It might be difficult for you to always travel that far to check out a house you have just seen online. Maybe you've just seen a 3-bedroom house, which is very beautiful online. And of course, pictures are not everything. Sometimes pictures can lie, pictures can be deceptive. So it's very, very important for you to go and see the house in person. And then when this distance is like far apart from each other, it might be difficult for you to be traveling all the way every time there's a new house or there's a new property for you to view there. So that's one of the things where the reasons why you can be limited, or you can find it very difficult to actually get a house in the place of your choice. The distance matters a lot. Number 2, another factor that could actually limit you from getting a house of your choice, or make it difficult for you in the property market, is if you are not a permanent staff. Now, when I mean a permanent staff, you can work in any field you like. You can actually do anything you want to do. But if you do not have a permanent contract, a full-time permanent contract with that company, which requires at least minimum of 35 hours a week, minimum of 35 hours a week. If you don't have that kind of contract, in place, a lot of landlords, a lot of housing agents will find it very difficult to rent their properties to you, because they want something that is certain, that at the end of the day, at the end of the month, you can always pay. So when you have a permanent contract job, the landlord believes that at least every month his money is certain, his rent is certain, he's sure. But if you come up as a self-employed person, if you come up as someone who is doing who is working part-time, on a part-time basis, it's a very it can be quite tricky this time around. It's gonna be a very difficult situation. Even if you're self-employed and you're making a lot of money, like a lot of money, this is where it gets very tricky. You must be able to prove to the landlord that you're really making a huge amount of money. He must see it through your checks and balances, your account, your bank statement, and all that. He wants to be sure that every month something is there in place for his rent, because do not blame the landlords. They're not building their houses out of spit and sand. They're actually investing money. They use the money they have to build these houses. Some of them are still paying their mortgages. So if someone is still paying his mortgage and he puts his house on rent and you, the tenant, you are not paying up, then the landlord is at loss, because the house can be repossessed. And when the house is repossessed, then he is at a very, very big loss. So that's why a lot of landlords like to go for people who work as permanent staff, full-time permanent staff, because the guarantee is there that every month as they are paying you, you are paying him. Then thirdly, even if you work as a permanent full-time staff, before you even get a house viewing, the landlord or the agent will want to know how long you have been there in that company. How long have you worked for this particular company where you have this your full-time permanent contract for? If you have worked there for like a minimum of 6 months, no. They want to be sure that at least 6 months should be the minimum. If you have worked for anything less than 6 months is a no. But if you have worked for at least 6 months and above, then they are a bit more comfortable with you, because they feel you are it's not like you're a newbie there, and they feel, but at least after 6 months you must have passed your probational period at work. They believe your legs are a bit more grounded in that place of work. They believe that at least for someone who has worked for at least 6 months and above, in fact, the more years you have put into that particular company, the better for you, the better chances you have, because you give this landlord or you give the tenants the impression that if you can be there for a long time, then that means you have a very strong commitment with your job, with your company, and it gives them the rest of mind too, that if you can be there for a long time, you are still there, then that means fine, you are someone to be trusted. You're not just jumping from one place to the other. You're not just jumping from one company to the other. You work here 3 months, you go out, you work here 3 months, you go out, you work here 3 months. They want to be sure that you have something that is you are committed to something, because in their minds that gives them the impression that you are a responsible person for you to have been able to hold on to a job for that long. So it's not just about being a full-time permanent employee, but having it on a longer term basis. That helps you a lot. Then fourthly, even if you are a permanent staff with a full-time contract, the landlord or the agent in most cases will want to know how much exactly is your salary worth, how much is your wages, how much are you being paid, be it weekly or monthly, how much. Because if the house you are going for is really on the high side and your salary is not as, is not as much as what they are expecting from you, if they think your salary is not so much compared to the kind of house you are looking for, then it's going to be a problem for you. They're going to turn you down, because they believe that, okay, for instance, now, if you maybe every month you are being paid, maybe for instance 1,004, let's start with 1,004 at work, and then you're going for a house that costs about £900. Let's say you're going for a 3-bedroom house that costs about £900 a month. 1,004 minus £900. They will want to take into consideration, how do you now pay for your other important bills in the house? How do you pay for your water? How do you pay for your electricity? How do you pay for your council tax? They want to put all these things into consideration. How do you pay for all this? Then to make matters worse is if you now have kids involved in the equation. When you now have kids, they want to now understand, okay, so how do you take care of your kids? Because they believe that the amount of money that is remaining would not be enough to cover up so much costs, so much responsibilities that you might have apart from renting a house. So in other words, the landlords and the house agents are usually very, very considerate, because they're not just putting their own interest into consideration. They're also thinking about you, the tenants. Okay, even if they rent this house for you, How do you pay up other things? They want to know, do you have any other source of income that's going to sort out those other extra bills, those extra responsibilities, those lights and electricity, and then definitely you might want to have internet in the house. You have children, you might want to take them shopping once in a while, you have to do the food shopping. There are other things apart from house, there are other things involved that money is actually necessary for when you are renting a property. But if you're earning that same 1,004, for instance, and you go and get a property, or you are looking to get a property that's around £500, £550, then this makes sense. Because from 1,004, you're getting a property of £500, £550. You still have a lot of money that is left for you to sort out one or two bills at the end of the day. So at this point, you have a higher chance of being accepted as a tenant in the property. So it's not just about whether you are working as full-time or whatever, but you should be able to give them the reason, or you should be able to explain to them how you intend to survive after paying your rent. Now, when you want to come in as when you're coming in as maybe a temporal staff or an agency, bank agency staff, or all those zero contract hours kind of staff, and you're looking for a house, it's really, really tricky. Because every month or every week, it's believed that the money you get, the money you are paid, number one, it's not certain that you might get shifts every week. It's not certain you might work every week or every month. As a bank staff, you are only called upon to work when there is need for you. That is when there is job available. So your salary is not certain, it's not sure. You understand? Your salary is not sure. This week you might, let's use because a bank agencies are usually paid weekly. This week you might be paid, for instance, maybe £300. Next week you might be paid 150. The other week you might be paid 200, just like that. So if you see, it's not really, it's not a flat rate every month. It's not a flat fee. It's not a flat thing. So you can't, in this situation now, you cannot give the landlord or the housing agent a specific direction as to how much you're getting every month. So it's difficult for them to be able to say, okay, next month this is how much is coming from you, and you'll be able to pay your rent and all that. So it's quite difficult. Another factor where I struggled with, especially, and where I see a lot of people struggling with in the issue of renting a house, is if you are too choosy, like you want this particular kind of house, you want it like this, you want it like that. I know every one of us has tastes. We all have the kind of taste we want. We all have an expectation that we want to meet in life. We all want something, we already have this beautifully imagined creation picture in mind about something, be it any kind of thing at all, be it traveling, be it your business ideas, anything. You have something you've already created in your mind, even before it comes into practice. You already have that in your mind. This is how you want it to be. So of course, when you're renting a property or a house, I'm sure a lot of us will not just want to rent a pit. You don't just want to rent anything in the name of a house. So my idea was just looking at I had this particular picture in mind. It must be like this, it must be beautiful, it must be big, it must have big gardens, it must this. But my dear, right now, the property market is so tight. The rental property market is so tight. You are not even finding a small house that is ugly. Talk less of a very big, beautiful, and spacious and blah, blah, blah. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. At some point, I was even just saying, okay, I'll just go for anything. Let me just say anything at all. But even that anything was not coming forth, to tell you how difficult it was. It wasn't just coming forth. At the point, I was just choosing anything. I was like, okay, anything. At the point, I was even downgrading. I was like, okay, this is the amount of number of rooms I actually wanted from the beginning. Later, when it was getting very, very, very hard, I said, okay, I reduced the number of rooms. I removed one room. Still looking for, we didn't see. I said I can't remove it any further because I have children. I need space. So when you are looking at these kind of things, when you have a certain picture in your mind, then your chances of getting a property is slimmer. But if you're a single person, for instance, you're a single man, you're a single woman without children, it's just you, it's a bit much easier because the kind of properties, the kind of rental properties that are very, very much in the market at this point, that are very, very common and it's still very easy to get, are just houses for apartments for single people. You know, like a room share in a shared apartment, a single room in a shared apartment, or a one bedroom flat or things like that. You can still manage to see it, especially the room in a shared apartment. That one is usually is very, very, very common, like student accommodation kind of setting is very, very common because not a lot of people go for it. Not a lot of people, especially families, cannot go for that. If you have a family, you have children, you of course you want space for your kids, so you will not be looking for a shared apartment for you to be sharing house and sharing the toilet and sharing the kitchen with strangers. Especially if you have kids, you want your privacy, and you want the privacy of your children to be preserved, so you won't go for it. So that's one of the reasons why in this particular field now, I think the single people are actually at a better advantage of getting somewhere to lay their heads than us. Okay, then, so my friend was telling me how she was actually called to view a house some weeks back, and then when she got there, because when she filled the form, she only wrote her name, her English name. So when she got there, and she said the agent was shocked, like he was a bit surprised. And she was like, yes, my viewing is today, so time. And the agent said, oh, sorry, the house is taken. And she was like, sorry? And the man said, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. Would have informed you earlier the house is taken. And she was like, you can't just tell me you would have informed me earlier the house is taken. You had almost 3 or 4 days before now to have told me that the house is taken. You didn't tell me. You have to wait for me to come all the way from my house to this place to look at this new property and telling me the house is taken. So apparently, the agents thought she's a white British. Because she said she didn't write her name. She didn't write her son's name in the form that was sent to her. So the man said, the house is taken. And she was like, no, but you didn't tell me about. Why didn't you tell me about it? So just as she was leaving, because she got already upset and very angry, she wanted to leave. Just as she was just about to leave the property where she had come to view, she saw a car parked. And a couple came down, and they were white. The couple came down and they walked past her, and the agent was trying, because at this point he was a bit worried that she's still around and she's seen a set of people are coming to view the house. And because those people that just came, they didn't know what happened. They actually thought she has just viewed the house and she's going and it's their turn to come and view the house. So when the couple just came in, they just greeted the agent. Hi, my name is, they introduced themselves and they said, we've just come to view the house today. And the agent opened the house for them, opened the door, and they walked into the house to look around. Meanwhile, this girl wasn't even given the chance to walk through the door, not to talk of looking around. So that's another area where a lot of people are facing challenges. Another big area where a lot of people are facing challenges. Even though on some of the agent websites, they always write something like, we are committed to a non-discrimination, blah, 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 blah. They give you the impression that, yeah, we attend to everybody irrespective of race, irrespective of gender, irrespective of... In some cases, those are just paper. They're just there on the paper. But when you actually go out, when you actually delve into this journey, you discover that there are some small clauses by the side. So renting a property here is no longer what it used to be. It's no longer as easy as it used to be. It's now so difficult. And I really don't understand what has happened in the recent years, because I know that back then it used to be very easy. I know that back then it was just like you can even be abroad and you get a house already in the UK. You just make 1 or 2 calls and people will help you run around and get something. But right now, even when you are here, you are still on ground. It's still difficult. So before you come into the country, make sure that is one area you fix. Make sure you get that sorted out first. Make sure you get that sorted out first. If you're coming into the UK, for instance, let's say for school or for work or whatever it is that's bringing you in here, and you cannot get an accommodation outrightly from there, I would advise you, maybe you rent an Airbnb for a while. When you come in, just make sure you have enough money, because when you come in, you will be in your Airbnb for a while you are now house hunting. Now, it's even so bad, so terrible. Another point I forgot to say here is that at some point, even when you have seen a house that you like and you think, oh, this is the kind of house I love, this is one of the this is my dream house, I hope it works out well for me and all that, and you have your money and everything is set, and you have discussed with the house agent and everything is in motion, the next thing you hear is, oh, sorry, someone just called, the person has just offered to pay for 6 months, the person has just offered to pay for 7 months, and I'm like, what? You are still struggling to pay 1 month rent. You are still struggling to pay 2 or 3 months rent. And someone is coming and is offering to pay for 6 months. Honestly, if you were the one, wouldn't you go for that person that is offering to secure your property financially for 6 months? Because in most cases, the money somebody will pay you for a property for 6 months is enough for you to raise a deposit to the bank to get another house. So that's why a lot of landlords even prefer such tenants. A landlord has told me personally before that this was before I wanted to go and view his house. I wanted to go and check out his house. And then at about 3 hours before I even left the house, he called me to say, oh, sorry, he forgot to state this earlier, that would it be okay for me to pay him at least 3 months rent in advance? And I said to him, I thought it's usually a month rent and the deposit. Now, the deposit is the amount of money you will have. You will use that money to secure the property first. That is, if you are giving, if they agree to rent the house to you, you will pay some amount of money, advance payments to hold on to that property until you're ready to move in, then you pay the balance. So that is the standard practice. But this man said I should get like 3 months rent in advance. Anyway, that shocked me. But because I was so desperate, I just wanted the house. I just wanted it by all means. And mind you, this particular area where this house was, I didn't even know where it was. My mind, I was thinking of somewhere else. I was actually thinking it was in a different location, not knowing that it was another location entirely. It was even far from where I was going to. But the frustration was just pushing me. Do. So, he said 3 months, and I was like, wow, that's quite strange. But anyway, because I was so desperate, I was like, okay, fine. 3 months, it's okay. 3 months, I will take it. I later didn't go to check that house because I had to check the postcode. I had to find out where exactly is this place I'm even going to. Let me know. Only for me to put in the postcode online, I discovered that, wow, it's not even in the city I want to. It's in a different city entirely. And the distance between these two cities is about 1 hour 46 minutes. So I didn't know that it's not one and the same thing. So these are all the things you should put into consideration. If you even want to move houses, it's not about the beauty of the house. It's not about the beauty of the property. Also make your research about the environment, about the area, about the schools. If you have children, about the schools, about the area. What is the crime rate there like? There's crime everywhere, but there are some places where it is manageable, it is more controlled than the others. What's the crime rate there? What's the population of people there? If you are the type of person that likes a mixed ethnicity, you want to be in the midst of blacks, of whites, of Jewish, of everybody. If you're that kind of person, make your research. If you're the kind of person that feels, no, I'm just fine in my quiet area, I just want to be left alone, I want a quiet, a noiseless neighborhood, make your research. It's not just about the house itself. There's a lot of things now that goes with property rentals and all that. I belong to a group on Facebook that has to do with properties, and you need to see the number of people that are actually crying because they have not been able to rent a property. I'm telling you, these are from people from different races. It's not even just the blacks. It's not about the color now. Even white people, a lot of people are complaining about how difficult it is for them to be able to rent a house. people are complaining about how hard some people have this money, they cannot get a property. You just have sometimes you have this money at hand, but before you know, they'll just call you, reply you, and tell you, sorry, the house has been taken. At a point, all my mails I was just getting was, sorry, unfortunately, the house has been taken. Unfortunately, the landlord said, unfortunately, the let has been. It was just, so I had to like reboot my mind and said, okay, fine. Let's look for an option B. But for those of you who are thinking towards this direction, it's very, very important for you to make your research and look well. If you're already in the UK and you're thinking of moving from place to place, before you hand your present house key to your landlord, make sure you have gotten a place and it is certain you are moving in. Because if you want to give him your house key, you're not staying there again, and you want to start looking for a house immediately, it might not be as easy as you think. So that's my 2 cents for those who are actually looking to move houses, either within the UK or from outside the UK. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope you subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. Ciao.